Hello and welcome to the Tongue of the Trees Recipe Hub. This is Cedarwood Atlas and this is a recipe for a chesty cough. So if you have a look at the hub, you'll see that there are several chest infection kind of thingies. We've got one specifically for bronchitis, whether that be for acute bronchitis or for chronic bronchitis, different things. This is more for, you know, you just have a chest infection. Obviously bronchitis is the bronchioles, but there can be many different parts: windpipe, larynx, whatever. With the chesty cough, we could use this on two different ways. Do you have a dry cough that's not doing a great deal and you can't actually get the mucus and phlegm to leave? I hate anything to do with mucus. If you read my bronchitis book, you'll know that the very thought of it makes, you'll see my face go, I can't bear it. It's my kid's favourite weapon against me. But, you know, if you have got that on your chest and it's just, you're coughing it and coughing it, but it's not getting any better, this is a great massage oil. So we are using Cedarwood Atlas, Monarda and Hyssop. So this is an unusual recipe that I doubt anybody else ever uses. But I love Monarda. Monarda's one of my very best friends. A really underused essential oil. She will have her own set of videos, so go on over and have a look at those when they're ready. She is in the first set of cards, so it won't be too far away. And yeah, she's about motivation, really, about getting off your backside. But I'll tell you a nice story about Monarda. I'll go off into Monarda land, shall I? I grow them all over the garden. Beautiful. And there's so many different chemotypes of subspecies of Monarda. All of them with these beautiful leaves that smell, it's called bee bergamot. They're so pretty flowers. But it's called bee bergamot because they smell just like bergamot. And they're kind of like an apple lemony kind of fragrance. And they taste sublime. So you can make beautiful Monarda tea. And if you have got one in the garden, I would heartily recommend you had Monarda tea if you have a cough. With a teaspoon of honey. Oh, it's beautiful. But traditionally, she is a Native American medicine. The indigenous people of India, in particularly the Lakota people, were... you have got a lot in their written histories about Monarda oil. They bathe their babies in it to strengthen them when they're first born. So they put all these beautiful leaves into the water and steep it and then put newborn babies in to strengthen it. And it's elk medicine. And so the elk is a strong communal animal. All the female elks like to spend loads and loads of time together. They roamed around and they really take lots of, it's a, you know, a really strong communal group, elks and female elks in particular. But they do this lovely thing is that if they've had enough, the elk just goes off. And nobody goes to look for the elk, just left on their own. And this is very much a Native American thing, that if somebody's quiet and doesn't want to speak, nobody says, is everything all right? They just go. And they go off and do their own thing and leave them to their silence. Whatever healing that needs to take place, they just let them have the space to do it. Not really recognised in Western medicine. I really struggle with it. But Monarda says, okay, you can have that space to do what you want. And then when they finish with the healing, they come back and the elks go, hello, come and eat some grass with me. And they all make a big fuss. Whether they have a conversation of what was wrong, who knows? Native Americans do not. They just go, it's lovely to have you back. And I don't know if you ever read any of the work by Kiva Rose. She's a beautiful, she writes beautiful herbal medicine. And she talks about how it's the medicine of Monarda is like a butterfly. It's so light, so yin, so passive. And in the bronchitis video if you want to watch it. I talk about the difficulties I have in being able to accept help from people, and to just not get involved in the whole, when Daryl comes in and does the washing up, my whole thing goes, I should have done that, I feel really bad that I haven't done that, he's going to judge me for that. Well, doesn't at all. He just goes, well, I've done it and you haven't. The end of. But my psychology goes over and over and over and over again. With a yin medicine like Monarda, it goes, I'm just going to take it, just accept it. It's so passive and receptive. It's a great medicine if you can't relax and get your healing done when you're poorly. Any kind of yin medicines like rose, stuff like that, anything that's really yin just makes you go, oh, whatever, bring it. So that's lovely, because if you've got a chesty cough, you should not be doing the washing up, ladies. I know. So hyssop, though, hyssop's another fascinating oil, and one of these days I will get right into writing a book about hyssop. I love hyssop. I grow lots of hyssop in my garden too. And ironically, I'm in the middle of doing my Melissa book, as the world knows. The book may ever once finally get written. But bees, you know, they don't like Melissa. Everything in the history tells you that bees flocked to Melissa, and you should rub it on the inside of the hives. But my Melissa grows next to my hyssop, and I'm telling you now that all my bees go, hi hyssop, see ya, see ya, to the Melissa. So that's interesting to me. And hyssop's one of the lesser used oils, because it has quite a lot of ketones in its chemistry. Ketones can be a little bit more difficult to use because they can be neurotoxic sometimes, and yeah, but it's not a harmful oil. And Dr. Malte Hosel, if you don't know him, he's the guy behind Oshadi essential oils. He used, I don't know whether you can find it anymore now, but there was a fantastic lesson on their website before they restructured it. Whether it still exists on YouTube, I don't know. We did this lovely lesson about ketones, and how he calls them the disincarnators. So if you think back to the Bible, for example, of Christ being crucified, and the Bible tells us that somebody gave him some vinegar on a hyssop twig to drink. And if you think about the symbolism of that, and if that were true, if that is a historical account of what happens with the disincarnation of ketones is they separate entities. They separate spirit from body. They separate, they break down masses. So scar tissue breaks down, softens and dissipates. Mucus breaks down and leaves. It has this softening effect where it just kind of lets things go. So any oil that is high in ketones will have that effect. And yeah, so in hyssop, we're letting go of the washing up, but also letting go of holding on to that horrible structure of phlegm and mucus. And as it softens, it leaves. So interesting recipe. Again, it's becoming overworked perhaps in these recipes, but it's a bit like changing lavender. Why would you? Tamanu is a carrier oil, is beautiful. I also say in the other lesson about bronchitis, you could also use jojoba. I don't use it here, but you could use it here, because it seems to increase the antiviral and the effects. It's like a physician supporting the essential oils and potentiating their healing. In this recipe, though, we use tamanu because of its anti-inflammatory abilities. So I say use 25 ml, 1 fluid ounce, because it'll fit in my little pot. Then use 2 drops of Cedarwood Atlas, 4 drops of Monarda, 2 drops of Hyssop. And that's interesting, isn't it? Monarda, you need a lot. You needs a lot because she's just like, hi, let me whisper. And you go, hello, darling girl. And she goes, are you not feeling very well? You go, what? So more Monarda. And then she goes, hello, are you not feeling very well? Let me help, let me take care of you. You go, oh Monarda, oh Monarda. Again, apologies if I'm repeating myself now, Cedarwood's most important ability emotionally is how certain it makes you feel. And if you're struggling with, got to get back to work because they're going to be funny with me, and you're arguing with yourself because you're worried that you're going to lose your job, you lose your family, whatever, he's not going to be upset because you haven't done the washing up. Cedarwood goes, just slow down those negative thoughts. Just slow them down. Let me take care of you. Very, very peaceful oil. Beautiful, beautiful. So, there we go. Cedarwood Atlas in terms of, the word is safety that I'm looking for. In terms of contraindications. Just don't use in the first 16 weeks of pregnancy. Otherwise, oh, wait a minute. So hyssop, because of the ketones, if you have epilepsy, just be careful of hyssop. Perhaps just try a dilution of 1. And if you start to feel a bit nervous of that, look at one of the other recipes. There'll be plenty of other chesty cough recipes to be choosing from.